Xiaomi phone. De-Xiaomified. No ads, no bloatware, no fishy telemetry other than Google Apps. I have successfully de-Xiaomified this Xiaomi Poco F3 and ultimately extended its lifetime beyond Android 13. Today, I'm going to show you the Poco F3 with Lineage OS and how it holds up in 2026 onwards. The Poco F3 was released in March 2021 with Android 11, upgradable to Android 13, and the support ended in March 2024. This phone rocks in with the Snapdragon 870. It is actually still really powerful and very usable today, yet Xiaomi left it behind only after 2 to 3 years after release. By the way, the Poco F3 I have on me right now is the top-of-the-line 8GB and 256GB one. I actually had been installing Lineage OS since the mid of December 2025 with Lineage OS 23.0, but I couldn't finish the video soon enough that as of February 2026, it has now finally received the Lineage OS version 23.2 with the transparency on quick settings thing. This thing receives updates really fast. To install Lineage OS, you'll have to unlock the bootloader first. Unlocking the bootloader isn't as easy as you thought. If you're unlucky, or you didn't know about the exploit, you'll have to register an account on Xiaomi Community, and your account must be at least 30 days old before you can request to unlock the phone. Instead of doing all that nonsense, I tried to bypass it with the hypersploit. Some people can bypass it within a few minutes. Some people need to wait for a few days, or up to a week. But I was unfortunate enough that I had to wait for 360 hours, or 15 days. And the process wasn't just click run on the hypersploit. Instead, you have to turn on Find Device and everything. And you must plug in your SIM card that you use in your Xiaomi account. I had to remove my SIM card and plug it in back to this Poco F3 just to get it to verify the phone. And you also have to make sure that you turned off the Wi-Fi and turned on the mobile data when doing the request. After doing that, I now have to try to use Mi Unlock to see if I can unlock the phone right away. When you launch the Mi Unlock, you are required to log in to your Mi account. But if you try to log in there, you'll be asked for an OTP. But the OTP will never arrive to your phone. The only solution is to go to the Xiaomi account website on your browser and log in there. You'll receive the OTP in a moment, but don't put the OTP on the browser. Instead, you'll have to put the OTP on the Mi Unlock logging window instead. Also, turn on the Remember This device so you won't be asked for an OTP anymore in the future. Once I get in, I can reboot my phone in fast boot mode and try to unlock the phone. But yes, like I said, I got greeted with the message that I have to wait for 360 hours to unlock my phone.
2 weeks later.
Alright, so 15 days have passed. I'm finally able to unlock the bootloader. Yippee! In order to install Lineage OS, you'll have to downgrade the firmware to this specific version because mine was the latest one, 1.0.3.0. I used Mi Flash to flash the firmware back to 1.0.2.0. But I accidentally pressed this cursed button, Clean All and Lock. I should have pressed Clean All. I don't know who designed this interface, but they're probably a I was so frustrated seeing the bootloader was locked again. I thought I had to wait for another 2 weeks again. But thankfully, I can just unlock the phone with Mi Unlock right away. That was a huge relief, to be honest. Also, you can see, even on this fresh install of HyperOS, you can see the insane amount of bloats. The phone was insanely slow, even on a fresh install. If I remember correctly, on a fresh install of HyperOS consumed about 30 GB of storage already. Speaking of a bloat, huh? Anyway, back to installing Lineage OS. Now, I can just follow the steps that's written on Lineage OS official wiki and install Lineage OS that way. The process of installing it is easy and straightforward. The installation took me only a few minutes or so. Once done, I was greeted with an extremely clean Android interface. Heck, it's even cleaner than Pixel OS. I think it only takes 14 GB of space. Everything's smooth and snappy. It definitely feels like you've just bought a new modern phone. It is running Android 16 with a security patch of February 2026. The whole UI really does feel like using a Pixel phone. Even the haptic vibrates when you're scrolling on the recent apps. Well, it is clean like Pixel phones. I think Lineage OS does offer more advanced features. Features that you'd think is a common sense to be available on Pixel phones. Yet it doesn't. Everything seems to work fine. And before you ask, yes, the 120Hz screen does work. But for some reason, it doesn't go down to 60Hz even when you turn the brightness slider all the way up. Or maybe I just don't know how to set it properly. It does let you choose between 60Hz, 90Hz, or 120Hz minimum. On the settings, you have all the things you expect from Pixel Android here, except the AI slop. Here's how the settings look. You get all the usual stuff here. Modes is here, screensaver is here, and so on. You even get the same wallpaper and style from the Pixel. Of course, it doesn't come with ads. The wallpaper and style really feels like the one on Pixel, except you have way much more things to customize. You can change the font, change the icon, change the shape, etc. You just don't get the default Pixel customizations though, like the clock, but whatever. For some reason, the always-on display is here, but there are no settings for it. On the battery, I think thermal profiles is a new thing. Basically, you can adjust per-app thermal profiles for optimum performance. Here, you can see that there are default, benchmark, browser, camera, dialer, gaming, and streaming. I don't know what the differences are, so I'll just leave them as default. You get all the battery saver stuff. Battery manager, even the charging control, seems way much more detailed than the one on Pixel. As for the keyboard, you get the AOSP default keyboard. It's fine. It does feel like Gboard, but as much as I hate Gboard and its stupid autocorrect, I still wish it would display text suggestions every time. But sadly, there is no option to add a Japanese keyboard on the AOSP keyboard. Here are the buttons menu. You can see there are lots of things to set. You also have the system profiles, which I think is almost the same thing with rules, except you have to do it manually, and there are more things to adjust. There are also lots more things you can set on the status bar menu. You have the network traffic monitor, which I wish Pixel would have those too. System icons, so you can control which status bar icons are shown. You can even set the clock position and set how it behaves. Also, you can choose the battery status style instead of just displaying text or icon. Anyway, what's cool is that some cool features from MIUI I thought will be gone forever are actually available here. Things like App Lock, better built-in screen recorder, and App Wi-Fi or data blocker. To access App Lock, first, you have to hold on the home screen and go to Home Settings and see for Hidden and Protected Apps. Here, you can choose which app you want to hide from the home screen or lock it with biometrics. Here is the built-in screen recorder. Even though it is not as detailed as MIUI's built-in screen recorder, I think it's way better than the one on stock Androids. And you can also block any app access to Wi-Fi or mobile data by just simply tap and hold on the app and then go to App Info. Then scroll down to Wi-Fi and data usage, and you can choose whether you want to let the app use Wi-Fi, mobile data, or even VPN. You can even just cut everything off by turning off Allow Network Access. You can't do this on a Pixel phone, by the way. You can only disable the background data, but not the network. Here's how the quick settings look like. Now that I'm on Lineage OS 23.2, it finally receives that transparency look. Again, unlike on the Pixel phone, the Wi-Fi and mobile data quick settings are separated, although the one that's joined is also available. There is AOD, ambient display, caffeine, and etc. AOD quick settings, when enabled, it'll just enable the always-on display. I'm not sure what ambient display and caffeine does though. I think caffeine is like a focus mode or something. By default, you get the Audio FX, browser, calculator, calendar, camera, clock, contacts, files, gallery, messaging, music, recorder, and telephone. Also Google stuff if you install GApps. Yes, there wasn't even a weather app. The default app is pretty basic, but gets the job done. Alright, before I blabber too much about other things, let's talk about things that work and don't work on the Poco F3 with Lineage OS. Like I said before, the 120Hz screen does work, except somehow it doesn't go down to 60Hz, even on full brightness. The fingerprint works normally. Always on display is there. You lose the face unlock features, so you won't be able to unlock your phone with it anymore. The default camera app is really bad, but you can install GCam to remedy that, at least. On both the default camera app and GCam, all the lenses work fine, but the EIS is not working anymore. I haven't tried to plug in my main SIM card yet, so I couldn't confirm that it will work, but I'm pretty sure it will work fine. Other than that, I think everything works perfectly fine. I've been using the phone for months now, and it's all fine. All my gacha games work perfectly fine, even though I have unlocked the bootloader. I haven't tested the wallet thing, or the banking app though. And I'm not going to test it, so I'll just assume it will not work by popular consensus. Because this phone is fully Xiaomi-fied, we lost all the camera features. But that's fine, to be honest. That was actually the reason why I was so hesitant to install Lineage OS. But now that I've installed it, it honestly felt like whatever. So I have two camera apps installed, Lineage OS Camera and the GCam port. The GCam port I use is the SnapCam variant with pixel photo profile. There aren't as many features or things to tweak around on the stock camera app. On the GCam, you also only get the basic features, such as night sight and portrait. Oh, all the camera lenses do work on the GCam too, except it is flipped to the stock app. The telephoto is ultra-wide, and ultra-wide is the macro camera. The focus seizure problem is still there though. It is worsening, however. Anyway, here are the settings available on the GCam. There are so many of them, I really don't know what each of them are for, to be honest. So that's it. Poco F3 is brought back alive after almost 2 years being left out by scumbag Xiaomi. So, do I recommend you to install Lineage OS on your Poco F3 or any sub-phones that are Chinese phones lying around on your desk? Absolutely heckin' yes. 100%, not even a question. Now granted, if they have official support. Although there are lots of other custom ROM available, or the unofficial build of Lineage OS if your phone is not officially supported by Lineage OS. Trust me, you won't regret by leaving those scum of a hell OS filled with ads and bloats. Even after almost 5 years since its release, with Lineage OS, the Poco F3 and its Snapdragon 870 is still perfectly usable. It's all snappy and fast. I know lots of people will scream totally unusable if they find out their $2,000 2025 smartphone can only doom scroll TikTok for 8,999 FPS instead of 9,000 FPS or more. At my parents' home, I have my old Redmi Note 4X and Redmi Note 7 lying around there. My Redmi Note 4X is unable to turn on anymore, which I hope it's just a dead battery issue. And as for the Redmi Note 7, it is still responding. The screen just popped off and then died all of a sudden. I also have my mom's Redmi Note 10 5G, but because it's a MediaTek SoC, there is almost zero custom ROM support for it. Insanely laggy, ad-ridden OS. The system crashes every time, and yeah, it is a literal paperweight. It is the worst phone to ever own. Absolute garbage. If I bring it here, I might try to refurbish the phone and install the available custom ROM for it and see if that'll fix the phone. As for the Note 7, I've already brought the phone to fix the display by someone else, and it seems like everything is great there. I was originally going to give my mom this Poco F3 because my mom wants a sub phone for light gaming and TikTok watching. But it seems like my mom is already happy with the Note 7, so I'm keeping the Poco F3. I'll also be installing a custom ROM on it when I'm staying at my parents' home. Later, I'll bring the Redmi Note 4X and try to fix it myself here. Redmi Note 4X is also the only phone that is still currently officially supported by Evolution X Android 15, as opposed to Note 7 and Note 10 5G, where there are no more officially supported ROMs. Crazy, isn't it? But then again, I don't know if it dies because of the battery or what. I hope I can revive it, so I can use it as a throwaway phone, maybe for YouTube playback, IR remote, a VM machine with Winlator, and installing shady apps there. And it still comes with an SD card slot, so maybe I will use it for a data backup repository. Anyway, the good thing about the 256GB phone is that even after I've installed all my gacha games, I still have plenty of storage left on it. I really hate how most phones come with 128GB and not giving us an SD card slot on top of that. Massive props to Japanese phone makers like Sharp and Sony for still giving us SD card slots. They even still making audio jacks available. I have a lot of rants about it, but I think I'll just do it on another video. Anyway, so yeah, that's about it for today's video. If you have any EOL Chinese phone lying around, I implore you to install Lineage OS so then you can extend its lifetime. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.